And today our special topic is very related to all of this, spring and nature and being connected with the elements. I have a special guest, Beth Steinman. She's an herbalist and intuitive. And actually, Beth and I know each other from herb school. Many years ago, we both went to Cammie McBride's Living Awareness Institute, and we enjoyed it so much we did it for 2 years and just had an amazing, amazing time, and I'm sure she can tell you about that as well. So that's how I know Beth, and it's so wonderful to keep in touch with these special friends who you have things in common with, and then you can carry on with your work together in the future. So I'm really excited to have Beth here today, and I'm actually going to bring her on right now so she can tell you more about herself. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited that you get to be here and
Me too.
Share with us. Yeah. So I was just telling everyone, of course, about our time together at Living Awareness Institute, because I know for me that's really where it started, with my love of herbalism and plants and the plant world and nature.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. For me too. I remember starting that class and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is it. I finally found it.
Yeah, it was like coming home.
Yep. Yeah, so I've just been on that trajectory ever since then.
Yeah. So tell us what you do now and kind of like where your passion has kind of directed.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm doing right now is I've actually found that I'm really passionate about working with overly empathic women who are suffering from things like anxiety and digestive disorders. That is something that I have struggled with, and I've found that it's a commonality among a lot of my clients, if not all of them.
Oh, wow.
So just sensitive women, who are living in an insensitive culture. Yeah. So helping those women really get tools for how to become clear and grounded, and how to access their authentic voice and power, and how to put themselves in charge of their lives in a way that they feel like they're at the center of their universe, and they can create the life they want in a calm and grounded way without always being so affected by what's going on around them. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for doing that work, because it is very needed and it's very necessary, and what a great resource for women to have, because I think that is a common thing, and I think it kind of, shuffles between numbing out ourselves because it is tense, and that's kind of where maybe some of the alcohol or drug use or things like that come in. Or the feeling of like, oh my God, I'm so sensitive, I can't even deal with going out, being out in the world, being visible, sharing my gifts, because it's just too much for me to handle.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I've dealt with both of those things myself. When I was younger growing up, I was sick a lot and had a lot of health problems, and then as I became a teenager, I started to get really weird, unexplained digestive issues and really terrible fatigue. I mean, I remember coming home from school and falling asleep in the doorway. Like I couldn't even make it to my room. And then, as I got a little older, I totally started numbing out. Western medicine wasn't really that helpful to me. They told me I had chronic fatigue syndrome and irritable bowel syndrome, which are basically just groupings of symptoms.
Right.
Yes, and in absence of any other diagnosis. So I was feeling really lost, and I just started numbing out and started using drugs and doing anything I could not to be in my body feeling the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a common thing. I know I experienced something similar of, having a lot of digestive problems when I was little, which was actually related to basic nutrition and dehydration, actually. And then also being a very sensitive child, sensitive person, and not really understanding or knowing what that was or what was going on. So it's really helpful to have some tools and resources that can support women in that place. And then, I think when women get that kind of support, then they can pass that along to either their children or the young people in their life. Hopefully, that's what they do, because I know we both have little stepchildren now in our lives, and how wonderful it is for them to have this knowledge so early on that we didn't have, and that they can be a whole person, sooner or maybe less fragmented, as the case may be, than, us being adults and trying to put it all back together.
Yes, that's so true. I think about that a lot with the generations and with kids that are young now, and how a lot of them luckily do have access to so much more than we had at that age. And I really try to work on that with my stepdaughter actively. I mean, we spend a lot of time in nature and in the garden and working with plants, and it's just really natural for them at that age.
Yeah,
they just
totally
gravitate towards it, and I think it really helps put them in a little bit more of a protective, supportive environment.
Completely. I mean, it's so normal and natural for kids to be playing outside, hanging out with the plants. I know a lot of children see fairies, and they see, things that maybe we necessarily don't. And it's only when they get into the school system, or they get into, parents who maybe don't quite understand them, that they start turning that stuff off, and they start becoming disconnected.
Right.
Yeah. So it's really great when I think parents can be informed, and they don't have to understand everything, or agree, with maybe what their child sees or experiences, but be open to it and at least say, oh, that's interesting, tell me more about that, or something. Yeah.
Right, totally. Just to allow them that space to be in that, total imaginative play realm. And then another component, I think, that's important to bring in is the self-care component, because when women and when adults start to really recognize their own sensitivities and take care of themselves and start restructuring their lives in that way, then they become more present with their kids, and there's a lot more space to create that type of relationship with their kids and then give that support to their kids as well. Totally.
Yeah. It's huge, and that's a big thing I talk about on this show is self-care. I mean, it comes up pretty much almost every show, because it's such a big thing, and that women start to feel guilty, or they're worried, or whatever, that they can't take the time for themselves. But what I keep saying is that if you don't do that, you're no good to anyone else.
Exactly.
Yeah. You're not going to have the energy. It's just like you said. You're going to have the space and the availability in your mind and in your heart to be with your kids, if you do take that time for yourself to really regroup and recuperate. And as women know, the easiest, most available time that nature sets us up for is during our moon time. To take that moment, to take that space. It's almost like, you almost don't have to schedule it into your calendar, because it's automatically there. Every time you bleed, this is your monthly take care. And, of course, it can happen more often than this, but this is really the moment when you absolutely need to, whether it's, an hour or a day. It has to be done.
Yes, that's so true. My mom used to talk about how she would have one stupid day every month.
I love that.
Yes. And she just allowed herself that. And really, if you reframe it, it's like, okay, there's a reason that maybe our mental mind isn't processing at full speed right now because we're not supposed to be out there using it in that way. We're supposed to be sitting on the earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is hilarious. Really cool, really cool. So, yeah, we can reframe it, our moon day or whatever you want to call it. Get creative.
Yes.
But, yeah, it's perfect. It's so perfect. I would love to hear from you, Beth, about, we're moving into spring right now, and it's kind of, we're just in this opening and new space, and, I just want to hear anything you want to bring forth about the coming spring.
Sure. Well, it's interesting. I led an herb walk on Saturday. I'm in Sonoma County in the Bay Area, and so we are getting pretty close to spring here, and it was just so funny on the herb walk. I was joking that I should have brought a salad bowl because most of the herbs that are out now that I talked about are those bitter spring greens that you can, forage and put into your salads. And so they're the herbs that are meant to wake up the digestive system after winter, especially back in the day on a traditional diet, a lot of dried meats and stuff like that. These herbs kick your liver and your gallbladder into gear, get the digestive juices flowing. So these would be things like dandelion greens, yellow dock, a lot of stuff like that. So, it's great when you just take some time to go out into nature. It provides, the things that are there are the things that are meant to sustain us at that time.
Yeah, that's so lovely. It's so true, too, that, you can just find what you need in nature, depending on where you are, of course. I'm out in the desert.
Yes.
So it can be a little, tricky to find a lot of edibles out here, but there are a few.
That's true.
A few things. Tell everyone where you're located, Beth.
So I'm in Santa Rosa, so Northern Bay Area.
So it's very green and lush there.
Yes, we're fairly into what feels like spring already, and we had a really mild year here also. So here the greens start really popping up. Some of them even in January and February, and then they'll go through March and April. So depending on where you are in the country, that's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah, because there is, I think, snow in quite a few places back east, especially. I'm sure.
Yes.
Not so much here anymore, out in Nevada, but yeah, it's kind of slowly warming up, and there's a little bit of weeds coming up in the yard. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes up this year.
Yeah.
Great. So I love that, how we can go outside and pick some dandelion greens and see what's around. And of course, you always want to be careful if you don't know what you're picking. You don't want to just kind of eat anything out there. So, if you have a friend who has some knowledge, that would be good, or a book. A lot of times books have some good pictures of plants you can pick that are edible and harmless. So
yeah, and I think in a lot of areas there are people doing herb walks. So might try Googling in your area if there's anyone leading herb walks coming up, because that's a really fun way to get out there and start to identify things. Yeah, there are definitely plants out there that you don't want to eat. So it's really good to know the difference. And it's great to be able to have someone show you firsthand too.
Yeah, because you can't see everything from the picture. You can get a pretty good idea, but getting the hands-on experience is really where it's at. So I love the idea of trying to find a herb walk in your area. That's great, and you can really
yes, definitely
get a sense of that. Cool. Okay, well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have Beth on the line talking about house plants. I'm excited to talk about that, and maybe get a little more into plant medicine. So stay with us as we go to a break. And I am Elizabeth Fern. This is Feminine Rhythms Radio, and you are listening to the Angel Whisper Psychic Network.
Like us on Facebook for your chance to win weekly contests for free readings with one of our many operators. You can find us at www.facebook.com/Angel Whisper Psychic Network.
Are you looking for daily inspiration? The right words to keep you on track and help you look at life from a positive perspective? Not only look at life from a positive perspective, but to live it. Divine Heart Meditation and Words of Inspiration CD allows you to take time to reflect, to go within, and look at areas of your life from a place of love and gratitude. This powerful CD contains beautiful, soothing music with thought-provoking subjects and healing words that can be used as a wonderful healing tool to begin your personal journey in life. Divine Heart CD covers various subjects from angels, love, gratitude, faith, meditation, and much more. Check out Divine Heart Meditation and Words of Inspiration by Sandra Ortiz Sims on Amazon.com today.
Well-Being, a series devoted to healing with holistic modalities and exploring spirituality. Courtesy of Angel Whisper Psychic Network. Live on Blog Talk Radio Wednesdays. All podcasts are also available on iTunes and Blog Talk Radio archives. As a Karuna Reiki Master and Teacher, Emotion Code Certified Practitioner, and Intuitive, Amanda will be taking your calls for one-on-one well-being. Find out more about the series on our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/Novanea, NOVAENEA. And find out more about our network at www.facebook.com/Angel Whisper Psychic Network. Like our page and have a chance to win a free reading with one of our uplifting operators. A chance to win every week. Good luck.
Did you know we are all surrounded by loving angels? Do you want to learn how to connect with your angels? Your angels are here to help you heal and move past lifelong defeating patterns that no longer serve you on your path. Learn to create a life you're excited about with Angel Intuitive Christina LaFrance. Please contact Christina for a private reading at www.yourangelcoach.com.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Elizabeth Fern, and this is Feminine Rhythms Radio on the Angel Whisper Psychic Network. So happy to have you here today, Moon Monday, and today we have our special guest, Beth Steinman, herbalist and intuitive, and also her website is Essential Nature. Help me out, Beth. Essential Nature.
It's essentialnaturehealth.com.
There we go. Perfect. So you can check her out there and get her info, get on her email list, and do you offer private sessions right now, Beth? What is your offering?
Yes, I do. And so if that's something that you think you might be interested in based on what we're talking about, if you have any of the sensitivity-related health problems going on, you can actually apply for a free session with me through my website, and that will give us a chance to connect and talk about what's going on with you and see if it might be a good match for us to work together.
Wonderful. Awesome. Yeah. I highly recommend that, ladies. If you're having any of those concerns, any of those symptoms coming up of chronic fatigue or irritable bowel or just health symptoms in general that are just plaguing you and you're having a lot of sensitivity, I would definitely recommend contacting Beth and getting a free session with her. That's great. Great resource. Okay, thanks. So, yeah, I want to talk about houseplants and little secret you have with them, or not secret.
Well, it's pretty funny. I have had now a handful of my clients come in and tell me kind of sheepishly that they talk to their houseplants. And these are all women who have total green thumbs. And so it seems to be a commonality that people talk to their plants. But it's something that we kind of don't do when other people are around. So I thought that was really great. And I think there is a huge connection between that and the green thumb. Because, you know, when we are communicating with our plants, they totally get that and they respond. And this is something that I am really, really interested in. And I think that science is just beginning to kind of grasp the tip of the iceberg with this, and it's something that traditional healers have been working with for a long time, but that is communication with plants. And there was actually a researcher in the 70s named Cleve Baxter who wrote a book called Primary Perception. And what he did was really interesting. He got the idea to start hooking plants up to lie detectors to measure their response to human thought and human intention. And so he, it might have been his first experiment, but he hooked the plant up and he was going to try burning one of the plant's leaves. But the minute he had the thought that he was going to do that, the detector spiked.
Oh, wow.
So there was an immediate fear response from the plant just by him having that thought.
Wow.
So pretty amazing. And he went on to do a lot of other similar experiments like that. So I would recommend checking him out, Cleve Baxter.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yes, very interesting. So, yeah, plants have a lot of ways of communicating. They might not be the same ways that we have of communicating, but they definitely do. And, you know, a lot of it's unseen by the human eye. But I think that's become the key to me in my work in terms of efficacy of plants is it's directly related to your relationship with the plant, how well it's going to work. So if you are starting to work with herbs, or even if you just have house plants or a garden, if you start really loving on your plants and, you know, touching them and talking to them and communicating with them, you know, you will definitely notice the changes.
Yeah, that's so great, because it can seem maybe a little strange or like, well, you know, but I think plants in a way could be seen as pets. And I mean, they're very different, but pets, you know, they have their own way of talking and they have their own kind of way of communicating and being with us. And so that's kind of how I'm imagining it with the plants. It's like, well, they're in a way they're like pets because they're a part of the house, but they're alive, and yet they're on a different kind of frequency maybe than we are, and so it can be kind of interesting to communicate or think about communicating with them. And what's funny is that I love herbs and I love plants, but a lot of times I have trouble keeping them alive. Like, for instance, orchids, for some reason, I always seem to kill, or they always seem to die on me, and it makes me so sad because I feel like such a failure because I'm like, but I'm an herbalist. How can I be killing my plants? And maybe it's because I didn't fertilize the orchid because I didn't realize that. But I don't know. What would you say to someone who's like, their plants die on them, or they feel like, maybe something's not right?
Yeah, I haven't had great luck with orchids either.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so I just kind of started just growing herbs outdoors because most herbs are like weeds. You don't have to do anything. Yeah. They're easy. They just grow. But, one of my clients is really, really good with orchids, with all plants. She's great. And she just really cares for them. She sings to them. Wow. She talks to them. And there's got to be something there. So I haven't tried orchids again and tried that, but that's what I would recommend to someone is just experiment with that. Just love them, give them attention, and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And then I'm also having the thought of like, well, maybe some plants are more, kind of like with the herbs too. It's like, well, I'm definitely drawn to certain ones, and those are like my allies, and so maybe it's the same with house plants as well. That there's certain ones that are kind of like, yeah, we totally vibe, like we grow good together, and then some of them are like, I don't know if you're my peeps. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. I mean, I always tell people, work with the plants that you gravitate towards. And pay attention if a plant crosses your path 3 times. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different medicinal herbs and just plants in general that have healing and revitalizing properties that I think it can be really overwhelming for someone who is maybe just getting started working with herbs or having an interest in that. Yeah. And I really think work with the herbs that are growing naturally around you and work with the ones that you're drawn to. You could have a close relationship with 3 plants and they could take care of most of your healing needs. Aww. You don't need to know hundreds of different ones. It's really just about cultivating a close relationship with the ones that you're really drawn to. And you'll find that they come into your life when the time is right. The medicine comes when, you might just have a plant pop up in your yard one day. And it's probably there for a reason.
Yeah, that's such a great reminder for people because I think, like anything, it's like, oh, I need to know it all. I need to have them all. I need to, be really versed in everything or I think there's a place for all the herbs and, maybe building your repertoire as you go. But I love the simplicity of having your certain ones that you just really are your go-to medicine. I know for me, I'll go through different phases of like, being with a certain herb for a long time and then maybe gravitating to another one or having a certain, 2 or 3 that I'm really working with. And there's something powerful about that because you're really, I think, building the relationship of that medicine in your body and it's really serving its purpose. And then when the time is right, it seems like they just kind of fade out and then you move on to the next one.
Mhm. Yeah, I have really a similar experience myself, and then there are lots of herbs that just keep coming back again, and I get to keep falling in love all over again. You know, it can be a lifelong relationship.
Yeah, totally. It's so fun. So, tell us more about plant medicine or plant spirits. What's
Well, sure. I could talk about some fun ways to really approach a plant for the first time.
Yeah, that would be great.
So, okay. So if you are just getting to know a plant, and it's great if this plant is a plant that's growing in your natural environment or growing in your garden even. I like to go and sit with the plant and just spend at least half an hour sitting with it. And I know that can seem like a long time, but once you do it, it'll go really quickly.
Yeah, you just get into the vortex.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's really fun to take a magnifying glass or a loupe, which is a fine magnifying glass, so it magnifies pretty closely, and check out the flowers and the leaves and just get into its little world and really look at it closely and maybe spend some time just closing your eyes, feeling around the plant with your hands, just starting to get in tune with its frequency and in train with its frequency. I think that's a really great way to start to get the plant medicine into your bones rather than just reading about it in a book and then going and cutting it and taking it. It's kind of starting things off on a different foot.
For sure. Yeah, I love that suggestion, and that's something that I've done with my herbal classes in the past is to really just sit with it. And I remember, that's what we did in our herb school too. It's like that was one of her primary teachings was to have us just sit and be with the plant because that's really how you get to know it. And if you think of it like a person too, that's just occurring to me that, when you meet someone and you're wanting to become friends, it's like usually like go out and you have coffee or you go, you hang out together and you talk, you listen and you share. It's like you're not just talking to the person, you're also listening, and it's a very reciprocative thing. So I think it could be a very similar experience of, getting to know someone, except that you're getting to know this plant.
Yes, that's a great point. I think it's really similar, and it feels like a process of courting to me, like a little romance,
Oh, yes.
I always like to take a little tobacco or a little bead, or sometimes I'll make some things with beads, like a little ring, and put small beads on it, and then present it to the plant. And it can feel really awkward at first, but I do like to talk out loud to the plant and just, address it and say hello and tell it my name and tell it my intention and give it a little gift. And, it can be pretty sweet. So that really, that can lay the foundation for deeper work with the plant. And a lot of what I do is shamanic work with plants. So once I have spent some time romancing the plant and really getting to know its frequency and maybe doing some journaling as I sit there with the plant, then I will go on a shamanic journey to meet the spirit of the plant. And that's when you really get to see that they are so much more than just these physical beings. Yeah.
Oh, that is so magical and lovely, and what an inspiration, I think, also for women and men to try, and to just let yourself have that experience of connection, and to be really open and to see what comes through and to see what messages you get and how that can be reciprocal of you, like, bringing the gift. It's really lovely. It's like you're, making an offering, you're creating the space, and you're making an invitation, I would like to get to know you, and I would like to be friends with you. Can we work this out? I think that's so cool, and I love that. And thank you for sharing that, because I think that can be a beautiful guidance for anyone who wants to really increase their connection with the plants, with nature, with the earth, with, their spiritual journey, and really...
Yes, you're welcome. Yeah, and I think there are definitely teachers out there who are working with plants in this way. And, if this is something that is interesting to you, feel free to write me through my website. I'm going to have some classes coming up soon where we'll be doing that, journeying with plants.
Oh, wonderful. And again, Beth's website is essentialnaturehealth.com. So you can check her out there. And so you have some classes coming up, and is that in the Santa Rosa area then?
Yes, I have a class coming up this weekend in Santa Rosa. It's actually in Sebastopol on 3 essential herbs for burned out moms. So
great.
That is going to be really fun. And then I have some classes coming up later in the springtime and summertime. And I will probably be doing some remote classes as well. So for people who are in other places besides the Bay Area.
California, yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, that'll be wonderful, having some online access and resources and classes. That would be great. And if you are in the Northern California area, Beth is a wonderful resource for you. She does herb walks and classes, and just amazing. So please, if you're in the area, take advantage of what she has to offer, because I know you will love it, and you will be romanced by the plants, and it will really open your journey with yourself and your health and your spirituality.
Yes, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I just see such miracles every day with the people that I'm working with in just, curing big stuff and dealing with big life issues. People, in really difficult relationships, just starting to turn their lives around completely because they are working in a really intimate way with the guidance of the plants.
That is so beautiful, so beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Beth. I just really appreciate you being here and sharing your wisdom with us and sharing about the plants and the medicine, and really a gift.
Well, you're so welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for having me. It's been fabulous to talk with you. Yeah,
we'll definitely have to have you back again to share some goodies and keep us informed on the plant wisdom. So I look forward to that. And again, this is Beth Steinman. You can find her at essentialnaturehealth.com. And so I will have you sign off now, and we'll see you again next time.
Okay, thank you, Elizabeth.
You're welcome.